Welcome to the War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com/Zoom.
Welcome everybody, it's 5 o'clock on May 8th, 2022. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I guess that's just Susan. Starting off with news. The biggest news in 9/11 news, Norman Mineta died last week. Last Tuesday, we're all familiar with the quote where he says the plane was 10 miles out. Cheney whipped his neck around, or the kid said, the orders still stand. And Cheney whipped his head around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary? That gentleman, Norman Mineta, oddly enough, I didn't even know he died when I made a couple posts recently recapping Cheney's record of giving the stand down order for the Pentagon, we believe, and the shoot down order for Flight 93. But rest in peace, Norman Mineta. I don't know. Wished he could have recorded something for us before he passed. Evidently did not. Kind of along those lines, kind of a somber note, they untrained 9/11 first responders are 5 times more likely to have considered suicide. It seems here there was a percentage. Who we got? Welcome, whomever. Sandra's got to be popping in here soon. There's Sandra.
Hi.
And Mikey, welcome. The second news item, the untrained 9/11 first responders are 5 times more likely to have considered suicide. The percentage was in an analysis of more than 30,000 World Trade Center emergency responders, researchers found 12.5% of non-traditional workers, people whose job descriptions don't include responding to disaster, have expressed suicidal ideation in the years after the work at Ground Zero, compared with 2.2% of police, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians. So, yeah, prayers go out to them. We can't even imagine the impact of the surrounding communities. That's why we're doing what we're doing, though, because we'd like to get justice for them. At any time, if anybody wants to chime in real quick on a news item as I'm rolling through these real quick, please just start talking. You don't even have to raise your hand, just start talking. The next one, a county in California is to receive a salvaged 9/11 beam. This is Madera County is the recipient of a 14-foot beam that was salvaged from one of the Twin Tower buildings on 9/11. It'll make its way there May 28th to be featured along the county and city. Bigger picture of the beam. There we go. I imagine this is the spandrel plate and a handhold where it connected to another lower column. It's actually a column, not a beam. There was a new article, I can't get to it, declassified memo, basically linking the Saudi government in 9/11. That guy that was caught in a video tape that's come out recently, I guess it's now getting some traction. And I can't even read the news item. What is it? I forgot what it was before I clicked on it. But that's getting traction and leading to some Saudi involvement. So hopefully that continues along that route. Now some goofy news stories. I don't even know what to say about these ones. And if Julia Pasici was on this, she could follow this. She's a Star Trek fan. The time Star Trek made 9/11 Truth, a 9/11 Truther movie. And I tried to read through some of this and watch some of it. And it was just, I'm a Star Wars guy. So if anybody's interested in Star Trek, evidently they made some out. They alluded to 9/11 in here somewhere. So. And the funniest one of all, at least to me it is, Come From Away. It's a Broadway musical, examines the emotional aftermath. That's not funny. Connecting 9/11 in a small Canadian town. That's what kind of caught my eye, like this small Canadian town. And on that note, there's Molson sign in the background. That's just hilarious to me. But down here, it's this is what's so crazy. It's based on the true story of a selflessness and compassion of the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. The show opens in a small Canadian town of Gander, Newfoundland, September 11, 2001. The town contains an airport that was once a major transatlantic fueling stop, but no longer gets much air traffic until 38 planes are rerouted when American airspace closes. In the week after 9/11, the town's population doubled, and its residents banded together to close, house, and feed nearly 7,000 plane passengers from all over the world. So it has absolutely nothing to do with 9/11, except for they landed some planes there, and the people on the planes weren't even in New York or anything. It was just like, yeah, you landed some planes and you housed some people. Thank you for that, but this is like so. It's ridiculous in my
But
opinion.
it was a big story in Canada.
Oh, was
because
it?
yeah, it really was, because everybody rallied around them, and these people all became friends. Like, I think that 20 years later, they still have get-togethers with the people who hosted them, or those that,
Oh.
yeah. So it was, they all landed on the 11th of September, and they all got dispersed to various like people's homes and stuff like that. And then they all ended up back together on the planes when they went back. So yeah, there's a lot of bonds that got formed over that week, and yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Hang out in Newfoundland, play have some Molson and violin and flute and ukulele. Right on. Richard Gage had 2 interviews this past week. Jeremy Rice, I think that's how you pronounce it. I caught half of it. It was really good. He went down a lot of rabbit holes. Basically just nothing specific. He just covered a whole lot of 9/11 stuff and had questions thrown at him that were from all over the place. But I think he did a pretty good job. And Aiden Monahan, I didn't catch this one. The audio quality was killing me, but I guess the edited version, he fixed the audio, so I want to re-listen to this. But he really got into the remote controlled possibilities of the planes, and the parts that I was listening to or trying to listen to, he really got technical, and it was pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody else has any comments on that or caught that at all. No. And that is all I had for new news.
Gene,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you or anybody had caught the interview with Ted Walter. I've forgotten the guys that did the interview. It was the guy that is with Architects and Engineers. Is it Stone, or I've forgotten his name? He has his own show. Are you with me here? I can't.
I remember that's why I had an AE tab open, because I knew they had interviewed some people and I hadn't caught it.
Yeah, well, this is a great interview, and it's big news because the Ben's, what's this guy's name? Ben Zen's report that basically was the Bible for the official story is being reviewed.
Yes.
And that's really pretty exciting in the engineering world. It's well worth a listen. That's not, it's Ted Walter's interview that you're looking for. It came through on my email.
Oh. Just give me 1 second. Too many emails from Al.
I think it was an email, unless it was, I mean, I'm a, supporting member of A&E, so I get all these updates.
Yeah. Display, undercover guerrilla action, Captain Angulo. No, I didn't get that one.
Did you Google Ted Walter? Is there some place to?
Let me try that. There we go. Let me drag this over. Yeah, this is kind of huge. Basically, a victory over academic censorship. Your help was needed. A 10-year. Let me just read this beginning. Following a 4-year ethics complaint process, the American Society of Civil Engineers agreed to conduct a new review of an important article that was unfairly rejected by the Journal of Engineering Mechanics in 2013. Let me summarize. Zednik Bazant wrote 2 days after 9/11, wrote his reasons why he thought the towers fell, and it was basically the pile driver theory. And Tony Szamboti and Ted Walter and some others basically wrote a paper refuting it, and this major journal wouldn't give them the time of day. And now, 10 years later, they said they're gonna finally check out their paper, which is really weird. Out of the clear blue, they decided, which I find the timing odd because I wrote, it's just weird. I keep trying to get an in with Elon Musk, and I know he was in physics, so I wrote a tweet to him, a couple of them, that showed this graphic from Bazant. Let me show you which one that is. And saying, how could buildings fall down through themselves? And 2 days later, I hear that this major journal decides that they're going to review this paper, which I'm not saying it'd be nice to think that happened, but that maybe Elon threw a, hey, why don't you guys give them the time of the day? That'd be nice to think, but who knows? This was the graphic. Basically, I had said that the towers fell in such a way. You got a top block of either 17 stories or 30 stories. I forgot what the ones were. Let's see if I can find this. Sorry. Give me a second. I wish I had this set up already. Here it is. Got it. So I sent, given World Trade Center 1 and 2 were 110 stories. This is a tweet. 846, American Airlines hit 93 to 99. 903, United Airlines 175 hit 75 to 85. So World Trade Center 1 upper block was 17 floors. World Trade Center 2's upper block was 35 floors. How do they fall globally, symmetrically, and against the path of most resistance? That was April 29th. And then literally like days later, this news story comes out from AE that the paper refuting this photo, or basically the study with this photo, Bazant's paper, is getting the time of day. I think it's just awesome. So we shall see. Things are moving. We have this happening. We have AE's lawsuit with NIST. We have David Cole's discovery with NIST and FEMA. And we have the Lawyers Committee still waiting for the answer back on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which should say, yes, you guys do have a First Amendment right. And yes, the evidence should be presented to a grand jury. We just have some amazing things happening right now.
That interview is well worth a listen if anybody's out there. I mean, Ted Walters does a great job.
Mm-hmm. He's well spoken, really good guy.
Oh yeah, super guy.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there. Anyone else? New news? I know that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty on the NFPA conference coming up beginning of June.
I mean, we have particulars on that. I tried to get TAP to send out a plea that Chris Bruner had drawn up for donations, and they're reviewing it. And I might cut a deal with them that they get a piece of the action if we get any donations from their email list. They're pretty protective of that list. So, I mean, but they have a huge list, so it huge by our standards anyway. And we've got the booth. I think Sue, we have the next couple of days. We will know for sure, but we've sent the money in. I think we've sent the money in. So anyway, the big issue now is the backdrop that design that for Richard Gage is no longer in business. So I've been desperately trying to find somebody that will, it's a cloth backdrop, but it's an important piece of the presentation, and as well as the TV screen. So I've been spending a lot of time, calling around to people. And that's, the whole idea is to have a really good presentation that gets people's attention right away. And so that's pretty much where we're at. I mean, we're getting down to the wire. Richard's coming, Gayle's coming, Eric Lawyer's coming in this role. The fire chief will be coming. So it's really an interesting conundrum for the convention. I think it's going to turn a lot of heads. So hopefully I will get it on camera too. So
the gist of it, I guess the bottom line for everyone, the simple thing that we're trying to show is that because of sudden building collapse with World Trade Center 7, the fire code needs to be rewritten so that they're not setting up a command post in the lobbies of high rises, because at any time a building can come down now. So this Raul Angulo, which wrote a book on it for the NFPA, 4th edition, is saying basically I have to rewrite chapter 15 now. This book here, Engine Company Fireground Operations. Chapter 15 is on high-rise fires and what to do. He's saying, well, no, we can't go into buildings now. We can't set up, we can't go into buildings. We can't set up the command posts and things like that. We can't set up intermediaries on the upper floors. So now that we're looking at that, this is a reason why conversations need to happen with FEMA and NIST. And I think it's not really a Trojan horse. It's just, we care for people going into buildings. I don't know. You can't even say we have, I don't know if it's an ulterior motive. Ultimately, we want justice for 9/11, but this is, appealing to the safety of firefighters, which is right and true and good. This is the way to get them talking. It's kind of forcing their hand, and Raul Angulo, Captain Angulo, is on board with it. So this is.
Well, didn't NIST say it had to be rewritten, and they only made like 20% of the changes that they said that they would do, and then they've been sitting on it for years and haven't done anything else with it?
I wasn't aware of that, or didn't hear that.
Yeah, that's AE's big argument. Like, basically, you said you're going to rewrite it, and where is it?
We used to come at it like the idea that building codes need to be rewritten on the construction. Never thinking about the firefighting aspect of it as well.
Yeah. Al, I just wanted to ask, like, that what you're trying to get printed, does it have to fit on Richard's display, or could it be just different size? Or?
No, well, Gene, you've been talking to as far as designing it, and the Alliance for all the protectors for all protection, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then the verbiage below it, and then the collapse of the building 7. That's what we're trying to get on a 8x8. Yeah, there you go. So it'll look like that. It'll have lighting on top.
But it has to fit, like it has to have those side panels and everything?
Well, Richard has the frame for it. I don't know about the side panels. But
he's basically saying the cloth is no longer available now. He has this frame, but the cloth doesn't. You could hang anything over it. It's concave. You would just. Whoop.
Now we go to videotape the collapse of this.
Yeah.
Let's have a minute here a second. If anybody joined that doesn't know, every day 5:20 we just say a quick prayer for justice. If you're not religious, just chill out. Lord, we come to you right now. I just thank you so much for these people and their hearts that they continue to press and work for 9/11 Truth and getting justice for the people that we speak about. Lord, I pray that you would continue to light our path, soften hearts to hear the truths that we have to share. Prayer protection of everyone here, and the Lawyers Committee, Richard Gage, Gayle, and everything that's the upcoming National Convention, Fire Protection Convention, everyone doing this, Lord, that you would just continue to protect us and guide us, give us the strength to carry on. I thank you for all these many blessings, putting this on our heart. In your name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
So, Gene, have you talked to, as far as designing the design? Oh, I talked to a guy. He wanted to know the colors. I mean, I guess you have to have 3 separate colors that would be, what did he tell me? Yellow, cayenne, and you have to separate them out in order to order the thing. I didn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's
Are you
typical.
familiar with that?
Yeah, if you're getting something printed, you need to have it not in RGB, red, green, blue. You have to have it CMYK.
Okay,
yeah.
glad you know about it.
What was I going? It's called, come on, Gene, what'd you say? Protecting, it's going to be protecting all protectors, but I don't, whoa, what happened there? Protect. Which one did I buy? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There it is.
Protecting all protectors alliance. We still need to get, once I realize everything that they need are going to make available, Richard has already typed up some things. Once we get that fine tuned a little bit more, I'll get that up on the site and basically mold the site around the
Well,
materials.
it was sudden collapse. That was the paper that
Yeah.
that English firefighter had on his website.
Yeah, Paul Cayle.
Yeah,
I have that as right now. I just have it very basic, a home page, which is just that image, the sudden
Yeah.
building collapse paper from Paul Cayle, which people can read down through the whole thing, and then Raul Angulo's book,
yep.
and people could buy that there. But that's all, and then a contact form. So that's all. That's all we need right
Yeah.
now. But it'd be nice to make it look nicer and more functional. And I'll continue
Well,
to.
once we have the design, I mean, you're sort of the design guy, right?
Sure.
Figuring out how this all gets printed. And we need to then get a company. I talked to Matt Van Slyke. He claimed he could do it for cheap money. I don't know if it's true or not. I had a long talk with him the other night.
Okay.
But I'm still, Richard was looking around at different companies and there were some heavy numbers there to make up one of those posters, whatever you want to call them. And one of them was sort of, we were getting into $1,200 for everything, including. So I need help with that one. Trying to shop it around somehow.
Okay.
Are you in tune with anything like that, or I don't mean, maybe I should talk to you outside of this meeting, but.
Yeah, well, let's do that because I need more information and I can try to help out if I can. Yeah. All right. I guess the floor is open for anybody. If anybody has anything they'd like to share.
I just shared, hi, everybody. My name's Myles. I just shared in the chat. I don't know if you can pull it up, Gene, but this is I'm in Canada, and this article in Canada Construct Connect, which is a construction magazine, would basically say, well, as far as it goes in Canada, there's no need to change fire response nor building codes. Because this article essentially endorses Dr. Halsey's investigation, and we don't have to do anything other than get to the bottom of
Right.
what happened.
Nice.
So anyway, that's just really, I think, something should be perhaps shared at your convention with the National Fire Protection people.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. We should get a printout of that.
Mm-hmm.
That goes right to the heart of it.
That's basically what we're getting at. Yeah. If a World Trade Center
'Cause-
7 suddenly collapses, was the only building which they're saying collapsed due to fire alone. Because in the FEMA, if some people were thinking here, well, that's not true because some falling building materials hit it. Even in FEMA's own report, it says in the third sentence, the falling debris was not part of the reason. I'm paraphrasing horribly. Not part of the reason why the building collapsed there. So
I guess what you could say is, according to this, and unfortunately, this doesn't get a lot of circulation in Canada, but given that the United States is 10 times the size as an economy goes,
mhm.
I'm thinking for you to say, well, okay, my fellow Americans, how come we just don't actually admit it like this construction document or magazine is, and the Canadian construction industry is admitting that it was not by fires that WCT 7 came down.
Well, there
You know what
is-
I'm saying? If it's
yeah.
good enough for Canada, why isn't it good enough for the United States?
It is
admit it.
Well, it's not good enough for just Canada. This is one website and they can pull the, who are they card and say it's one opinion of one site. They're not representative of the whole country. I mean, it's nice that they're Canadian, but they're going to play that card. Like, who are they? And it's,
Yeah, but they're saying basically they're saying, here's this report. Dr. Halsey says, okay, fires are not responsible. So, and it doesn't answer who done it, or all the rest of it that's still needed. But
You're on to
I'm
something.
just-
You're definitely onto something there. There is some more information about Halsey's report. I don't think they were considered errors, but some things that needed the I's dot and the T's crossed. So that's going on right now, as I understand it, right, Sandra? They're basically going through it again, fine tooth comb, making sure everything's tip top. And
We need to forward this to Angulo, but I'm not get his name wrong. Raul.
Angulo.
Raul Angulo, yeah. Well, this, yeah. At least to make them aware of it, yeah. Okay.
No,
Right.
he should have a copy of this,
Okay.
along with Richard. It's a great piece, I think.
Pen just crapped out. Where'd my pencil go? There it is. All right.
And Kayle's had his hand up
Oh, go ahead,
for a
Cayle.
while.
I was gonna agree with Alfred. This information should get to Boston for what they're trying to do, because you have an expert professional out of Canada coming forward with similar information that they're trying to get out there.
Well, isn't
Yeah.
this is just a news article pointing to.
Yeah, but Myles, didn't you say who did the study?
Well, no, it's a widely circulated construction periodical, read by engineers and constructors in Canada.
Yeah.
And, even though it's under the radar, people will, this is basically saying, well, yeah, obviously there's been an inadequate investigation, but there is now an investigation that has gone the distance, Dr. Halsey's investigation. That's how I read it anyway. Like it's every constructor in Canada would say, oh, well, okay, well, I guess we don't have to worry about changing the building codes, and thank God for that, because that's a lot of work. And our firefighters are safe if they set up their control stations on the main floor of a burning building. So I guess.
Is
Well, you
there
have to-
architects out of Canada backing this article up that you could probably get a hold of, or
Well,
any
I think
engineers?
that's that's the interesting thing about project due diligence. And indeed, I would like to, I have expressed to Richard and Gail that I would actually like to start working on the project due diligence up here. I'm a
Yeah.
former professional engineer. I have a
Oh.
Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering.
Okay.
And I think it's basically, I could take this article to all of the engineering, provincial engineering departments, or I'm sorry,
Right.
the licensing agents, and say, okay, so obviously do you refute this article in Construction Connect, or are you working as an provincial engineering association? Are you doing, if this article is not correct and valid, and Dr. Halsey's work is not valid, what are you doing with respect to due diligence? And so though I'm just saying they would probably all respond to me, yeah, okay, yeah, we haven't done anything because we don't need to.
Mhm.
Right. Have you
Fires
spoken
didn't bring
to
it down.
Richard? Have you spoken to Richard Gage or Alfred here? I mean, you guys
Just actually I texted him. I was in a chat the other day or last week, and just said I'm really interested in holding seminars, getting a room, getting people, at least inviting people. I don't know if anyone would show up, but saying, look, let's have the project due diligence here in Canada as well, to get engineers and other professionals together to take a look, to use Richard's monthly 3-part education program seminars and sit in a room together to talk about what he presents.
Project due diligence is an AE911 Truth thing, and Richard's really not going to have a whole lot of say on that. You would do better if you emailed Ted Walter.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't already know this, the trick with AE's, all their addresses, it's the first initial last name at AE911 Truth. So if you want to email Ted Walter, twalter@ae911truth.org. I would email him with that idea, and he's the one that's really behind the due diligence project. I bet you'd get
I'm
your best
sure
chance.
Miles could switch gears to Richard as well.
Well, yeah, definitely deflect to Richard as well, but
Well, I think it's
He's
a matter of
not-
working with both organizations, really. I
Yep.
have no problem working with both. Richard's got this fantastic 3-part, 6-hour seminar that AE 911 Truth has used for I don't know how many years, and now he's continuing on with it, and he does refine it almost, I think, every time he presents it. He incorporates any new information. But
Sure.
I also do support Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry every month with a small donation. And so all 3 of these organizations, even though they've had this difficulty because of the Spike Lee refusal to carry on with the movie or the documentary as he should have, it's an unfortunate situation, but they're still all 3, working diligently to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah,
Miles?
Cayle, do you still have, well, hold on a second, because there's 3 hands up and they've been up for a while. Cayle, I don't know if you
Oh,
still wanted
sorry.
to weigh in. Al, if you want to quickly respond to Myles, but then I'd really like to go up to the people who have their hands up.
Yeah, sure. I was just suggesting to Miles, have you thought about joining AE or have ever looked into it?
Well, I've looked into it, and I suppose I would join potentially. I would like, though, to simply sort of audit things from this side of the border in our operating system, as I've sometimes said. I don't know if that makes entire sense, but I do have a bit of a concern about being affiliated with organizations that are outside of my country.
Right. And plus you want to be able to have the freedom of what you want to do as well.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why Richard had to branch away.
But AE deals with people all around the world. They have members from all around the world. Kinda-
Yeah, it's more of an internal struggle with me. I'm just
Okay.
a little peculiar, I think, that way.
All good.
I think we have a governance issue in many countries, including Canada. And we have, we really need to examine who are the civilians that are running the countries. You know, so, and I don't want to, I can go into this more, but I see there's other hands up there. So I don't want to talk too long.
All good. Thank you, Myles. Mikey, what you got, brother?
Yeah, so I noted I was watching the Epicenter film last night because I was bored. And I already know that, you know, obviously they didn't talk about it, but I noticed that they took down the entire episode that had Richard Gage in it altogether.
I mean, they still did the towers, like the construction of the towers, though, didn't they? I think Sandra, you and I watched that when we were in New York.
I watched it already once when I did see Richard Gage, but I watched it again last night and they just took that
Well,
whole.
there's 5 episodes, and the New York part was the 5th episode.
Yeah, so when I pulled it up on HBO Max last night, there was only 4 episodes.
Well, Richard was never part of the original. He didn't show up at all. He was
Yeah,
completely cut off.
Yeah, it was cut before it even hit the.
There's no way you saw him in there in September.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought
Yeah.
I did. Oh, maybe I just saw the leaked version, the pirated version.
Okay, well, if you have a leaked version, then Gene wants that because he's been
Yeah,
looking
that would
for
be
it for like months.
Yeah, we've been looking at forever. If you find
Oh,
that,
yeah, I think I got it on the torrent. You know, like
Oh
you know where you
my
pirate
God.
stuff.
get out
my
of here.
God.
I've been looking for that forever.
Yeah, I'll see if I can still get my hands on that. The other question was, this is like totally random, but does anybody remember that guy that was like on our side and then all of a sudden he started commenting on like Julia's posts and saying that this was all bullshit and stuff? I think his name was like Rob or Ron or Dave or something like that. I don't know why that came to my head, but and I'm not even sure why she did either, because from my understanding, she's not really involved anymore.
Mhm.
Is that true?
What's your question?
Is Julia like helping out anymore or no?
No, she's literally the day after 9/11, she was no longer in the picture anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So how's the letter coming? Because I'm going to deliver those.
Well, I wanted to address the letter. I wrote a letter to firefight. I'm going to be writing letters to everybody I think makes sense. Gene already has a letter that's addressed to senators or congress people. I want to have a letter that's addressed to people who are celebrities, to use their voice. We can have another letter for media. And so basically, I want to put up all those form letters on Gene's site and make them available for people who don't want to go through the trouble of writing their own. They can use them, they can adapt them, whatever. So anyways, I have this letter that I wrote to firefighters, just inspired by the whole Boston Convention thing, because the letter itself doesn't have anything to do with the convention. It's just that I feel the firefighters need to get behind this. And
Yeah, there you go.
and among those that we have, nobody's really taking the lead. Nobody wants to run with it. And so we have 72 fire stations in Montreal. I'm going to send that letter to all of them. And you just never know who you're going to hit. It's just an appeal to courage, an appeal to justice, and an appeal to, protecting firefighters and, honoring them for what they did on that day, and that they should do it for that reason. And you don't know who you're going to hit, and maybe someone will want to run with it and get organized. Maybe it's going to, maybe someone's been thinking about it, and then the letter's going to kind of like light it up again. I don't know. I just figure we have nothing to lose, and we have to reach out outside the choir. We just really, really do. And we can't just stay in our own bubble and talk to each other and hope that other people are just, you know, watching us from the sidelines and, hey, I want to get in on this. So,
We'll
So,
need that letter.
sorry?
Sandra, we'll need that letter for the convention.
Well, I don't know how Richard got it because I didn't send it to him. I just sent it to the small Boston group and the firefighters involved. And someone must have sent it to him. So he jumped on it and made his own edits. And I have them and I can basically incorporate them tonight and then put out the final version like before the day's over.
Very good, cool.
For those a little bit behind the screen, what Mikey and I were talking about, for those that don't understand, back in the hacker days, they were called torrents. You had these torrent search engines. And you would never do this because if you weren't behind a VPN and protected to download this stuff, they can track you.
Yeah,
we're
they
seeing here-
threatened to shut us down, me and my old roommate.
Right here, I typed in NYC epicenter, so it brings up New York City epicenters, and it was only 4 episodes. There's SO1, which all the rips usually are of season. They're labeled season 1, episode whatever. Well, season 1, episode 4 was the episode, so I'm just gonna look for just that and do the pirate search, and that
I
brings up
definitely
these.
saw Richard Gage on the TV, so I'll have to find it.
Now, what you see here then is you're seeing a web rip, meaning somebody ripped it off of watching HBO Max, which that means it's the cut it. This is mean the one without Richard Gage. These ones are interesting. So if Mikey's saying there's one that he saw with Richard Gage, it might be one of these two. There's only 2 here. This one or this one. So I'll download them. Let's see. We come over here. Oh, there's no seeds. A seed is basically how many people have the original file, and leeches are how many leeches are how many people are like taking it from that person. And there's only one of the web rip out there right now, so yeah, it's dried up. If that was it, it's not there anymore. Nobody's seeding it. Nobody's sharing it. Anyway, that's a little bit. That's a little travel down the hacker rabbit hole. Go ahead. I gotta get to Ray, and then I see you there, Lawrence. Let me. I'll have you next after Myles because I don't know when your hand came up. Go ahead, Ray. What do you got?
Yeah, we're talking about the official story and revisiting the NIST report about 7. Did you do it? Did you look into you were going to do a comb through of the report?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to be starting it in the next couple of weeks here.
Okay. But let's begin with a piece of information I find really shooting yourself in the foot by NIST, and they have this question and answers about the NIST WTC7 investigation.
All right, let's do that in a second. But Lawrence, was yours pertaining to anything we were just speaking about? Your question? I just want to see if we're going to move on to a deep topic.
No, it's not deep. It's not deep. It's really interesting.
Oh, it's definitely interesting. I definitely want to get into it, but that's going to be the conversation for the next 10 minutes. But I don't know if somebody else.
I'll keep it very short. It's only informing about what they write and their thought process about the things that they wrote. But
Yeah.
I made a screenshot of a part of the question and answers.
Well, hold on, did Lawrence want to say something?
Yeah, Lawrence, if you got something real quick, go ahead and share it,
Yes.
brother, and then we'll go to you, Ray. Definitely.
Okay.
Because we're not sure if you were saying hi or if you wanted to.
I just want to ask Myles for his contact information, his email, please.
Yeah, Myles, if you could send that in the chat to Lawrence.
Thank you.
Excellent. And okay, let's get to this. So Ray sent something. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to share my screen. And go ahead, Ray. What you got, brother?
I highlighted just one piece of information, the answer that they gave, and it's about the possibility of explosives being used in the collapse of 7. And then they write in the last sentence, preparing a column includes steps such as cutting torches, which produces noxious fumes, intentional demolition. But then they say, if not all interior columns, not just one. So they're implying that if you take out one with explosives, it's not a controlled demolition. You see what they're saying, that they're actually saying the official story is one column was taken out.
Yeah,
That took
see,
down whole building 7.
No, that's
But
not
they
what they're
say
saying.
here, if it's just, it can be controlled demolition if you only take down out one column.
No,
and-
no, that's not what they're saying. They're saying that if the charges would have to be
Up your volume, your mic's doing that thing, Sandra.
Okay. You know what I'm about to say?
Try it again.
Okay, they're saying that controlled demolition has to be done to, the explosives have to be on all columns.
Yeah, but there's no logic.
Well, they're saying-
If you blow up one column with explosives, how do you call the process of taking the building down? A controlled demolition. But they're saying if it's just one, it can never be a controlled demolition. That's what they're saying. And that's a reasoning
Yeah, but
of an institution which is highly paid, you know. If you say not just one,
They get out of it right there. That's how they get out of it, usually.
But that's it. They just said in there, if you take out one,
Usually
it cannot
requires.
be. No, yeah, it's usually. I know.
That's how they're going to sidestep that. That's their
No, but
political.
it's interesting that if you read their own words and are critical of their own words, it doesn't make sense what they're saying.
Right. I agree with you.
Okay.
Intentional
But the thing
demolition
is-
usually requires placing charges to most, if not all, interior columns, not just one. And they're saying column 79
Yeah,
was
it
this
was only
progressive
one.
collapse.
So it couldn't have been a controlled demolition, and that's
Yeah.
an illogic
But-
in their own words.
But they fail to acknowledge that controlled demolition would have been, you know, affected all the columns.
It doesn't have to be. You can take if 79 was taken out with explosives, that in hills that it was a controlled demolition. You don't have to take out all columns in you know, if you use their own words against them, it's what I'm getting at is being critical of their own words in their
Okay.
own logical thinking.
Are you
is that-
saying, okay, are you saying that you could have brought down all of building 7 by placing explosives on one single column and have the whole building come down symmetrically at free fall?
It would even give NIST their logic. You see what I'm saying? It's not that I'm saying it was taken out by explosive, but it could be have to be taken out by explosives. And
No,
then
I need to understand.
the whole following story of NIST would be true, but the moment explosives were used was only on one column. But you cannot. It's like if you talk about an event and you say it can only be done if you take out all columns, then it's controlled demolition. But if one column fills by fire, the official story, but it could be explosives, then the whole building also came down. So they're actually not saying that if you take one column out, you know, there's no logic in their thinking. And that's being critical of words they use themselves. But it's what I found interesting is the taking out of one column. Could that have been with explosive? You know, it's thinking another way. That's it.
Okay, but I really need to understand, because in my view, the way I always understood it, explosives were on place like on all columns, like everything came down symmetrically. That's why it came down symmetrically, because all columns had to be weakened at the same time, not just one. I mean, isn't that the whole argument, that you can't bring down a building by just harming one column?
Sandra, firstly don't know how, where, and when the explosives were used in 7. The possibility of them being used in 7 is very high, very high. And that's what I'm saying. It's
Okay,
it's
but
not
the
it's
building
it, it,
cabin
it's
put
not
aside.
no. If I would say every column, I would have to know how they were dismantled and have much more information that I'm knowledgeable
here,
of.
Leroy Halsey made 3 different models. This model is falling if the official story was true. If column 79 gave out, this is how the building would have fallen. Leroy Halsey then did, and I lost my page. Drats, hang on one second. Yeah, here we go. Leroy Halsey then said, okay, if we removed all the core columns, the 57 core columns, the building would fall. Did I grab the wrong one? No, that's the last scenario. Right there is if you removed all columns from 6 to 13 at nearly the same time.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, to bring down a
This is how-
building, you have to remove all columns, right?
That's the only way that the building would have fallen like it did in the video that we see, is remove all columns between floors 6 through 13. Let me find the other one here. There was, so the first one you saw was if they just removed column 79. The second one, I thought it was this one. Yeah, it is. No. Dang it, Leroy Halsey, you got your files all mixed up here.
Ed's theory is that the building twisted and then the columns collapsed because of the twist. I think
Yeah, we
that's-
spoke to David Cole about that last week.
So the second video, it falls to the north. If you just remove the core columns, it would have fallen not to the side, it would have fallen to the side the other way. But the only way to get it to fall straight down was to remove all the core columns, and that's where they did this side. There we go. Aha, found it in here. Let me click play. So there's if column 79 gives out. Now, if you just remove the center columns, no, he still didn't show the second one, damn it. It did 3 scenarios. But then the last one, the only way to get it to match was to remove all columns 6 through 13, floors 6 through 13, and it would.
So there had to be charges on all columns, right?
Yeah, had to be. As you,
Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm asking. For your regular controlled demolition, all columns have to have those charges.
Yep.
Okay. So then it doesn't matter if NIST, because NIST is saying only one column was damaged. So it doesn't matter what they say about the column, because that's not even what we're saying. We're saying that all columns were affected.
Yeah, but but there's a third possibility, and
What's
that's what I'm getting at. Is that one column was taken out by explosion, and that's maybe also a possibility that there has to be. It's not studied. How can NIST look inside a building? That's it's a closed building.
I'm not understanding your
windows
statement
were
there,
broken, but they look inside this building before it falls, and then they constitute that 79 was taken out by the shifting of beams, not the columns. So shifting of beams led to the column being taken out, and they do all this without not being inside the building.
Mhm.
So that's an assumption. They
Mhm.
make an assumption.
Mhm.
And then they say, yeah, but it cannot be controlled demolition, because then you have to take out all columns. But they're not saying if you take out one column with explosives, it would have the same effect as what they're portraying to say is that it was one column was taken out by fire. And that's what the only thing I'm saying is that there's always some other possibility than 2 opposing theories.
I'm still
And-
confused. Are you saying that you could explode one column and the whole building's gonna come down?
Then I would be closer to NIST, their explanation, but undermine their explanation at the same time. Because how do they know
I'm confused.
what
I don't
happened inside
understand.
their building?
Yeah,
It's an
I'm not-
assumption.
I'm not following that.
Yeah, I'm not
argument
following that at
all.
all. I'm just going with principles of controlled demolition.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. There's a lot of weight in the word controlled demolition. I think that
One column will never take down a structural steel frame building.
that's
Right.
what this is saying.
No,
That's
that's what
what they're
everybody's
saying.
saying.
It's physically impossible.
Okay,
That's the whole point of the argument.
No, the argument is NIST never
NIST
could
is
look
saying one
inside-
column could take down a building. We're the 9/11 Truth movement saying, no, one column will never take down a structural steel frame building.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You have two opposing theories, and there's always a third possible theory.
I'm confused. I don't know what you're
I
saying.
reject.
Okay, but
Thank you.
it's getting into to how they have a question and answer thing about 7, but they do not have this about the reports of 1 and 2. It's also very
Yeah,
curious.
basically, this argument is that one column brought down the whole building, and it couldn't have been controlled demolition because controlled demolition would involve all columns. And
I
that's why they rule out controlled demolition. That's all they're saying.
But it's the only place they react to controlled demolition is about the controlled demolition of 7. They do not answer any questions about controlled demolition of 1, why that could be. It is about 7. They say it cannot be. And it's really getting into if you want to cover up a story, if you want to, you don't have you get confused in your own words, and what
I'm
they're
confused in
saying
your
is
words.
confused in their own words. No,
Okay.
I'm not. I'm really getting into the thing about 7 is they make an assumption without even looking, can be looking into the building.
Well, they're
It's
just
closed.
basically ignoring all the other columns is basically what they're doing.
All
But
right, I need
anyways,
to move on.
But we need to move on because Myles
Yeah.
has his hand up, Mike has his hand up. And
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Myles, you're up, and then Mikey.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, I posted in chat something from CBC News, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation News. And the news item is Biden's comments on Putin, unfortunate former NATO commander says. This is the former NATO Supreme Commander for
Okay, is this
Europe,
9/11 related?
Yeah, because one of the requirements for NATO is that any NATO nation has to have civilian oversight over its military. And I just want to commend you for what you're doing, because you are civilians and you are giving your oversight into 9/11 and the actions that followed because of NATO's response to it all. The next thing I wanted to say was that,
You guys are killing me with this logic. I can't. Anyway.
well, no,
Go
I
ahead.
think it's very
Next one.
powerful. It's very powerful. I suggest you listen to that news item.
Okay.
Now, because everything's connected, right?
I
NATO
guess.
responded to 9/11, and it's the same NATO that we have operating today. And the situation is very dire, as you all know. Now, the other thing I just want to encourage you is with respect to Gene, you're going into the NIST report and wanting to walk through it again. You know, you're functioning as a duly diligent citizen of the United States. And I commend you. I should do the same thing.
Thank you.
I would also commend to you, hand in hand, perhaps getting a membership to the National Safety Council of the United States, which is a fantastic organization. I have books by them into what constitutes proper accident and incident investigations. It's not rocket science, but you know, even if we don't prove who done it, just addressing the failure, the criminal negligence of inadequate investigation
Yes.
is an end in itself.
Yep.
A significant end in itself. And you would do well to take a look at a lot of their resources are free. Like what constitutes an adequate investigation? One of my past functions in engineering was to investigate railway accidents. And, you know, one sticks in my mind, which involved the death of 3 train crew people. And the company was severely castigated for disturbing evidence before the coroner attended to this situation, which was pretty obvious what happened. Rock fall knocked a train off the track, right?
Mhm.
And we were roasted. You know, we were told, oh, you know, you could be charged criminally because you started working on the site before the coroner.
Yeah.
And here we have 27, almost 3,000 people plus trillions of dollars of subsequent deaths and consequences.
Mhm.
So just recommend that to you.
Thank you.
And then any other documents, like this is another leading world leader in practical loss control leadership. It's DNV. It's a debt. DNV is I think they're from Scandinavia. Det Norsk Veritas. So
Thank
that's
you.
it for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I think right now what's happening with Boston with Raul Angulo approaching it as a safety issue is a very smart move on the 911 Truth movement's behalf. It's a new way of approaching this, and I guess Paul Cayle has been thinking about this longer than we all have. He's also known as Paul Simon on Facebook if anybody's friends with him. But
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention, because you mentioned the Halsey report that's being reevaluated. Can you hear me okay now?
yep.
Yeah, okay. So basically what this is that it's being done by a group that is represented by the British Institute of Mechanical Engineers that this guy David Llewellyn belongs to. And he's been trying desperately to get the Halsey report looked at by the Institute of Civil Engineers, which is the biggest group of engineers in all of Great Britain. And they have refused to do so until, you know, unless they were given some compelling evidence to do this. So they sent a couple of their engineers to look at this report, and they're working together with David Llewellyn and his group to recalculate some of the Halsey findings. And they did find some errors, but despite that, the conclusion seems to be that there's no other way that Building 7 could have fallen. So all this to say that if and they're also approaching this as a safety issue, basically, that the whole building code would have to be rewritten if this was actually true. So if the Institute of Civil Engineers of Great Britain actually endorses this could be huge. And then, you know, when you're talking about having material at conventions, you know, you can have the Halsey report, you can have, you know, this website that Myles shared. You can have, there was Europhysics, right? The European magazine of physics. They did a whole piece on 9/11 that supported, you know, our side. So, you know, it's just arm yourselves with the best voices you have. And if the Institute of Civil Engineers gets on board and they come out, then, you know, what's going to matter is having more and more weight on that side of the scale. So you're going to have NIST on the one side, because everybody's going to counter with NIST, right? We say, well, NIST said, you know, but then if you can come back and say, yeah, but this person and that group and these people and these engineers are all saying, then the more voices you have to support it, the more convincing you are. And if you have, you know, information to give out, whether it's brochures, pamphlets, whatever, what any of those groups said, like the recap version, Al at the convention, then you have that to give out. And they have, it's like they can look at it and say, oh, wow, I didn't know that this existed. I didn't know that that existed. And so it won't just be one voice. It's always, you make yourself vulnerable if it's just one voice. But if you come with a backup army of like all kinds of organizations that support this, plus AE, plus the 3,000 architects and engineers and whatever, then you build a case. And then they have to acknowledge that there's a bunch of people with a lot of credibility that are disputing the official narrative. And that's how you make the inroads.
Mhm.
So I wanted to add.
You're muted, Al.
Al,
You're
you're
muted, Al.
muted.
It's funny every
I
time.
was saying, can you recap that? So, because I need to have that in front of Rule and everybody else.
Okay,
but
so
what you just said, yeah,
Obviously the Halsey study,
yeah. I mean,
obviously,
can you send it in an email or something that I can forward to
sure.
them? Yeah.
Sure, I'll
I
send
hate
you
to
the
dump
recap.
it on you, but you do such great work anyway.
Mhm.
I'll recap it, but I don't know if there's like a short version of something that you'll have to check it out for yourself. Maybe there's a recap somewhere.
Right,
Maybe you just might want to give them a link. You know, you might want to write up your own paragraph saying
right.
Neurophysics in whenever it was 2015 or 2016 did a whole report. Recap version is this, but here's the link if you want to check it out.
Yeah, no, that's key. In our handouts, we need
Yeah,
that.
and we're sure that you guys are writing up, right? Like you might want to incorporate that.
Right, exactly.
So just real quick, I want to add in before I get to you, Cayle. We were talking about the sudden building collapse evaluation of a new risk and operational firefighting. This was written by Paul Cayle, the UK firefighter. He and Eric Lawyer formed Firefighters for 9/11 Truth. If you guys are on Facebook, this is how you could find him. Paul Simon. He has like it's not his real name there. Yeah, check him out. Friend request him. He's a great guy. Here he is. They were doing a seminar with Eric Lawyer, Chris Joya, Tony Robbins, John Junger. They like all these firefighters talking. This was a great interview by Colorado for 9/11 Truth. But that's Paul Cayle there. Great guy and well thought out and just has a great approach to it. That's all I wanted to say. Kick it back to you, Cayle.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring attention to Susan Serpa.
Yep.
In the chat, I sent you some information. I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
And I forgot
That's
you had
it.
that. Forgot you had that T-shirt. I love that T-shirt. I want a copy of that
Oh.
T-shirt.
And Cayle,
The May 4th. May 4th.
Yeah.
May
Yeah.
4th be with you. Yeah.
it
Right
arrived.
on. You got
Oh, it did. Oh, good.
Nice.
Yeah, Canada. My mom, she lives right near you, so it takes
know.
sometimes it doesn't show up for forever, but
It just showed up. Thank you very, very, very much.
you're welcome.
Very exciting.
See if it. No, not
Yeah,
gonna work.
kind of.
Kind of, but not really. Pretty cool.
It's really amazing. And I got
Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Thank you, Susan. All right, guys. Yeah. Oh, nice. Hey, that's nice. Look at
Good.
that.
I'm gonna put it up like right. Put it up right there.
What's
this
that?
is gonna be my Christmas ornament.
Heck
I
yeah.
went back and I looked at the on building 7, the
I'll
circle
tell
and
you
all.
later.
Oh my God, it looks like that. You know what I mean?
If I still put up Christmas trees every year, that would be on the Christmas tree. That'd
Yeah.
be fun.
Mine too.
I was thinking for your microphone, you know, that little
Yeah.
circle the news does with all that. I don't know. It's more of a test thing because we have the printer. We didn't know it. How can we incorporate some kind of truth? What can we distribute with this? But we do have a couple ideas. I'm not gonna put them out there though, but I just gotta design them and then.
Right on. If I
Can I just say that everybody who's on this call, pretty much, I think, does their own thing. I mean, you know, it's really, you guys are the embodiment of activists, and everybody has a different strength and different tools and, you know, different people to reach out to. But if we could get more people to just, you know, get moving on this, and everybody's, I mean, we shouldn't be telling people what they should do. Everybody should know what they can do with what's available to them. And, you know, Gene and I are writing up a list of action items that, you know, there's not one particular thing that, you know, I mean, all of them can be done, but they're going to want to be done by different people, because not everybody's good with writing. Not everybody has a 3D printer. Not everybody is comfortable out in the streets. Some people like to be behind the scenes. Some people like a bullhorn, like some people I know. And so you just have to, but you have to do something. And, you know, people who don't do anything between these calls and just listen, it's not enough. It just isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be an activist, not a pacifist.
So this was, I don't even know if the site was, do we still have the 911 Truth Alliance
No, that site's down.
again?
I thought it would, I didn't think it ever came back up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she did putting it back up.
Oh, yeah?
So
Oh.
Sandra did a really nice graphical representation. It's basically all these action item things that we could do, and everyone feels feels like you're pulled towards one thing or not. Your strength, like what Sandra just said, your own strengths. Some of these interest some people, some don't interest other people. But I think you promote, it's basically this right here, but here's the layout.
Never mind. You just answered my question.
Signing petitions. At the root, we should be signing the lawyers committee and the AE petition. But then I get feedback from Mick Harrison saying the lawyers committee petition isn't really a petition that's supposed to be like an ongoing petition, which doesn't
Yeah,
make any
they just
sense.
needed it originally, but now even if names are added, it's not going to change anything.
Right. We need to have a petition like that, just a overarching, the AE petition's been going on for, geez, I don't know how long, and they still don't have a congressional hearing from that. That's what I believe that one was pushing towards. But at the least, you know, we're not asking for money. We're not asking a whole lot of time. It's literally 5 minutes to put your name on something.
And it's symbolic. It's
Yeah.
symbolic. It just, you know, it says, I'm willing to put my name up to support this.
Yep. If you can donate money, some people don't like to donate money, but if you could donate money, my dream is that if 10 million Americans, so this is funny, let me go back a second. Mick Harrison told me that he talked to Danny Sheehan. If anybody's familiar with that name, he was one of the lawyers present for the Cooper Union big 9/11 meeting in New York on 2016. Yeah. And he talked to Danny Sheehan, and Danny said that we could go after the government specifically for their complicity with the controlled demolition of the buildings, but we would need a legal team and the funding, which would roughly be $10 million. So my dream, I always like the dollar. If one person could donate $1, I'm thinking like, why couldn't we get 10 million people to donate $1? Like your forever lifetime membership to this happening would be $1. That's all you ever got to donate. You get 10 million people. Like how difficult would it be to get 10 million people? Obviously it is, but in the scale of it, there's 330 million people in the United States, and they're asking for 10 million people to give $1. And I just found out that that's 3%. And if anybody's into, I have the 3%er sticker, and no, it's not a racist group. It was for patriots that actually give a damn about their country and wanted to stand up for it against tyranny. And unfortunately, the name of the group got hijacked, and now they're branded as racists and right-wing extremists, when all these guys were just gun-loving Americans that just cared for their country and didn't want to see it lost to tyranny. So anyways, that's my little tangent there on give something, $1, even if it's $1 for life, give $1. Jeez. Reaching out. There's so many different ways we could do this. All of you do it your own way. Emails represent. I do memes. You guys write stuff on the internet. Mikey Zarzano does things down in Florida. Legal things, like that's heavy hitter stuff there. You got the Boston 911 Truth movement going to do this NFPA conference, and they're constantly handing stuff out. We see all the Cayle stuff. He's out there constantly. I mean, you guys all in your own way do it. And I just, however you reach out, keep doing it.
And I just wanted to mention that tool that you have there, the email extractor. If you do go the email route, anyways, take it from there because I'm not gonna I'm gonna mess it up.
Yeah, you can type in a Google search engine for email extractor program and just you put in like a URL into this and it'll scan the whole domain name for any email addresses. So I've done that for Carnegie Mellon, their engineering department, and it came back and gives me like 30 email addresses from the engineering department. And I spam them. I pick some other account and send it, and just to put a pebble in their shoe. Street action, banners, you already talked about that. Even I have 5 main arteries. I was thinking, man, if I had 5 of me just once a month, spend an hour standing at the 5 main arteries coming out of Pittsburgh with a sign, you're getting thousands of views on that sign. And again, you're just putting the idea in their head because you don't know what they're going to do when they get home, whether they'll look at it or the next day they'll talk to somebody about it. It's just creating this awareness and people start talking. Display it on shirts. That's super passive. Stickers on your car, custom license plate. Getting creative, making your own memes. If any of you have ideas or pictures or anything you want, I'll help you out there. Send me an idea. I'll help you with the meme. Sandra's getting her feet under herself. She's making some kick-ass memes too. She even used one that uses sex to sell, and it freaking went it went nuts. I think it's up to like 300 likes now on the 911 Truth movement.
Like I said, I could get away with it because I'm a female.
Right. What was the?
Well, I'll share a meme with you that I heard recently, and it was like, wow, yeah. And that is this lady. She's a teacher in some really struggling district, their big city. But anyway, very dear lady, sacrificing her. She's retired now. But she said, truth is love. Truth is love. And so that's why we're here, ultimately. It's within us. If you want to get spiritual about it, that's our greater personality, as Carl Jung described. It's love or war, or it's love or deception. It's love or controlled demolition, right? And so, anyway, love, truth is love.
Yep.
That's what we're here for.
Gene, can you go to that previous screen where there's the buttons for those different action items?
Yeah. Mikey, you have, let me do the share screen.
I want to write down that website.
Well, okay, it is. Sandra and I were getting together with a friend of mine to do something, and it just kind of dropped the ball on it, unfortunately. It's still there. I don't know how long it's not really functional, but it's 911truthalliance.org. This was our idea. This is actually where we came when I gave the suggestion for the word alliance in this Protecting All Protectors Alliance. I really like this word alliance because the 911 Truth movement is an alliance of all kind of characters with all different kind of views. And it was just trying to figure out a way for us to bring unity in the 911 Truth movement.
So you don't know if this website's still active?
Well, it's Sandra and mine with the webmaster I used, and no, it's not. It was starting to be built, and it was never kicked off. It's just.
Can you send out that page to us? in an email?
I can send it to you, Al.
Oh,
'Cause
good.
it was just an email anyway.
But
Okay.
basically, everything
But,
that we
one thing I have not done is file a FOIA, and I have no clue how to go about doing that.
you know what, I would really I wonder, I will, Sandra and I just spent a 2 or 3 hour phone call with Dave Cool one night, and then another 2 hour call with Dave Cool and Richard Gage. That was like 2 nights ago. Man, is that mind blowing. Dave Cool is just, he is,
Wow. Yeah.
he is the researcher for 9/11 Truth. It's just unbelievable, this guy. I would love to go through, I bet you I could get him to do a video with me.
Yeah, how to file a FOIA. I mean,
Uh,
that would be really awesome.
Yeah, he's the king of FOIAs.
He is-
How many has he
man,
filed? Like
When he
25?
scrolled, he shared his screen and he went into his folder structure and he went into FOIAs and he scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
Oh, dear.
I
That sounds
filed one.
intimidating.
I filed one and he's filed maybe 100. Like, holy cow, David. Like,
Wow. Yeah,
um,
yeah, so I would need
alright.
a file a FOIA for dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That would be great if we could have him on for that.
Yeah,
But all of these items, we put it in a graphical format for this very reason that you asked, because putting
Mhm.
it in a text-based format, it's the same information. It just really grabs you when it's put
Yeah.
out, something like that. It really does. Makes you want to get involved. Like, oh, I didn't do that one yet. I didn't do that one. I didn't.
exactly. That's beautiful. I love it.
But this was basically everything I was trying to do with the 9/11 public directory. I wanted to make it so that people could go in and see a map. Where is the membership? There was like, you could search by distance of how many people were near you.
Well, you have that now.
Yeah,
You do have that now, and that's going to become Richard's.
yep. It kind of got pulled apart in different things. but
Yeah. And even the war room kind of like took over some parts of this.
Yeah, and it's so funny because as a former website designer, the funny joke about website designers is their own website is usually the most horrific of all the websites they do, and mine is just there for pure function right now, and I haven't spent any time in designing it. It's a shame, and I hate I mean, I like WordPress, but everybody uses WordPress. There's no more custom sites, and it's just it's all WordPress and Wix and these like kit websites, and there's no real true design. What it used to be.
In
Anyway.
my day.
Anyway, Mikey, I'm sorry, you're up, brother.
Oh yeah, so I made a goal to myself that every week I was gonna try and talk to 2 people about 9/11 Truth, and I ended up doing that this
Wow.
week, and I gave them the 911truth.org website to go to after I had pulled up on my phone the World Trade Center 7 collapsing, and both of the responses to those people were like, "I've never seen that before," and I'm like, "Exactly."
Did you say 911truth.org?
Yeah, that's what it is, right?
It's truth911.org.
Okay, I
That's-
have their numbers. I can text them.
That's fine. That's Mike Berger's. That is the original 9/11 Truth website back in like the one that made it on South Park. It's the oldest site. It's been around since like 2002. Let me share my screen. This is 911truth.org. This is one of the oldest websites in the 9/11 Truth movement, and he's since kind of prettied it up a little, but basically it's a warehouse of information. You could put in any topic in here, power downs, and it'll bring up any article that was dealing with power downs. At least it's supposed to. But all these articles back even to the early years. He's just a warehouse of files and articles and everything. It's kind of amazing. Hey, there's a black box.
I also sent them the link to calling out Bravo 7, which has Chris and Rudy both speaking in it.
Yep. So
they
just to
could
clear
watch.
this up for you. So 9/11 Truth is Mike Berger's site. Really good site. I'll give it that. I just wanted a plain, simple site. So if you go instead of 911truth.org, truth911.org, it's just a really like those buttons that made Susan kind of perk up a little bit. I kept it simple. You can go to AE site, you can go to the LC site, You can go to firefighter site, or you can go to Justice for 9/11 Heroes. And I did put other links down here for all these other sites, including the Boston 9/11 Truth Movement or 9/11 WarRoom. But really, I want to drive all of the attention to here. And I thought, no, I guess I didn't. Oh, I'm thinking something else. Dang it, I got confused. I was thinking 9/11 firefighters. Which is just another very simple. If you're talking to somebody that's a firefighter, just say, hey, go to 9/11 firefighters. Same thing. It just goes to firefighters and Justice for 9/11 Heroes, and calling out Bravo 7's right there. So if they want to watch the movie, just go to that website, maximize, and sit back and watch it.
Yeah, the problem is that those two sites are pretty much inactive right now. Like there's nothing.
Say it again.
That those two sites, unfortunately, are pretty inactive right now. There's no updates. There's, it's static. It's just not moving.
Right.
But, basic information. The NFPA stuff is on the firefighter side, so.
Yeah. Which I did notice that. I went to Firefighters for 9/11 Truth, and all that stuff that I was giving them kudos for, all this NFPA stuff, they all go to broken links.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I need to tell Eric about that, because this is
Wow.
fantastic.
Holy
Investigation
mac.
reference materials. It all just,
Oh, that's horrible.
yeah, so we got to get that fixed.
Yeah.
Let me write that down because I keep forgetting. Tell Eric broken links NFPA. All right. Thank you, Mikey. So there's some domain names. Remember, truth911.org and 9/11 firefighters. They're just quick. Everyone says, "Oh, you're so cheesy because you're stealing, like, instead of going to Justice for 9/11 Heroes, instead of people going to ff911truth.org." I'm like, no, I'm not. People were yelling at me for that for AE. I'm like, no, I'm just making it simple as a street activist. When it's real noisy and everything's going on and people are like, what are you telling me? What? And you can yell. Just go to truth911.org or go to 911lawyers.org or go to 911firefighters.org. And you can, depending on who you're talking to, if you're talking to somebody that's in the legal field, yell 911lawyers.org. It's so much easier to yell than LC4911. Is that a 4?
Yeah, but even written down, it's so much simpler than the originals.
Yeah. It's just quick ways to get people to go see stuff. And if you don't mind, before I go to Cayle, some other ones, like, because I had 911lawyers.org. It's easy to yell, but then I added some like 911lawyers.org/evidence. That'll go straight to the 60 exhibits of evidence. So you could yell that on the street. Hey, you want to see the evidence? There's 60 exhibits. You can see it for yourself. Go to 911lawyers.org/evidence instead of having to tell them that address. Or you can go 911lawyers.org/film, that new film project they're working on. And it goes straight to the film page on crime scene to courtroom. Or one more, 911lawyers.org/nanothermite. I have it go straight to exhibit 1 for nanothermite. So there's the paper. There's the study that's been up for 13 years. It's weathered the storm of peer review. Anyways, that was my little tangent. Thank you. Mikey, anything else? Ray, you're up, brother. And then Cayle.
Yeah. Cayle was first.
Oh, was he? Cayle, you're up then.
You want to remove the screen share?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Transitioning to the gym. I just wanted to say that the activism we mostly do is going to events that are happening in our community, like the mandates thing, some of these laws that are passing against parents at the school and their education and all that. But anyway, when we go to these other protests or marches or convoys, we show up as 911 Truth Hawaii, just showing support with another issue that we are passionate about.
That's a good point.
I mean, I guess that's kind of how it works. Yeah.
That goes
how
on to
it
what
works
Myles
out
was saying
here.
about love and showing support for other people. If they think you're showing support for them, then they'll let their guard down on, looking back at what you're talking about.
Right. And like one of the things that Richard had to branch away from A and E is because there's issues happening today that are waking people up concerning the
scamdemic,
cerveza, corona, whatever. But he was now he's able to connect with more advocates that are waking up to more false flag scenarios. Because we're losing our freedoms left and right from this current situation we're all in worldwide, but it's waking up more people. So showing up as 911 Truth at some of these events has been key, and people engage us. We don't go trying to find them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're right, because Richard has been going to these conferences, and now he was invited to. You can't hear me, eh?
Yeah, it's staying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's next weekend, I think he's going to the medical freedom something
Down in
convention.
Texas.
It's not Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency.
No.
thing?
It's medical freedom, but he's going to be going there and speaking on 9/11. So
yeah,
that's you're right. You reach out to other groups, you get pulled into theirs to speak about your stuff, and that's how you move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, so many people are waking up from our current situation. It's not even funny. Now they want to investigate other things like 9/11. And how did we get to this point, and how does it all work? And over 20 years of work with 9/11, there's so many people that have put so much information out there how to figure out a false flag.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Just want to put that.
Appreciate it. Ray, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back because nobody understood what I was talking about. But it's the question and answers from NIST, or the questions asked to NIST about 7. They're answering it, but they're actually debunking all existing questions out there. And I put a link and in the chat. You can read it for yourself. But it's amazing what they say, because one question is, why did the investigators why didn't the investigators look at the actual steel? And then they kind of talk themselves out of it, like, it could not be recognized as steel of 7. But in fact, they're saying no piece of steel was used in the whole investigation. And if it's remarkable what they're saying there, that you do an investigation only on visual aspects of video and other tangible pieces of evidence. It makes their whole theory really shaken up. And I think there's not a lot of emphasis on how NIST conducted this investigation. They did not look at one piece of steel, and that's amazing. Because
that's not true.
That's what they're saying in the question and answers. If this is straight from NIST, I'm not. It's from NIST. They answer questions that are.
So we were on a 2-hour phone call with David Cole, and he's showing us pictures of the gentleman at the steel yard inspecting the steel. John Gross, I forgot the other 2 names.
Yeah, they were there. That's even curious, more curious that they did that. But these are the link I posted is straight from NIST.
Yeah.
in which questions of the public are answered by them, and their answers are really, if you're critical, they're really ridiculous
Here.
in a sense. And I think that's the thing, that if you have to talk about what they think, it's right there, that they're actually saying it's only computer models we did. And that's their logic in 7 is only computer models.
Which one?
And that's the information they're not giving price in how these computer models were managed. And that's the Achilles heel of the whole 7 investigation is these computer models, that they say it's for public safety that could not give the data of these computer models. And I think that's the not looking at steel is really, I find it shocking, because I did not know that. If NIST said we did not look at one piece of steel, I think it's shocking.
They said that in that frequently asked question?
Yeah. They didn't look for steel. They didn't look. The question after is your entire investigation includes no physical evidence. How can you be sure you know what happened? That's a really good question. And then they say, yeah, but we looked a lot of other things, but we did not look at steel. And
that's really funny, because
that's crazy.
Their own lead investigator, or one of their lead investigators, there's a picture of them looking at the steel that just happened.
Yeah, but that's maybe from 1 and 2. I don't know.
That's from 7.
That's from 7.
That piece is from 7.
Why that's also the thing that how do you know that?
Because we spent 2 hours on the phone call with David Cole.
Okay.
David Cole said so.
I cannot see it. I see a piece of steel. That's it.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you. Mikey Perazzo.
Yeah, so I just attached in the chat. I'm not sure if you can view, but the last Cayle was saying that the last time that the convoy came to town, which was a lot lamer than the one they had up in Canada, obviously. But I wrote down there with my truck, and I was going like full like 9/11 stuff, obviously, while still being kind of conservative about my actions, because I use that truck for work. But that was my attempt at that. And then I don't have a bullhorn to like yell at people on the street like you do, but I do have one on my truck, and I was doing that as well. So
Hey, hold on, wait. When did I write this? I didn't write anything was lame.
no, you didn't say anything like that. You said if we go to convoys or go do any activism, roll under like, be okay with what those people are doing, but also let people interact with us. That's what you said. You said if you go to convoys or anything of that nature, that's what you said.
Oh yeah, no, I thought you said I said it was lame.
No, I'm telling you it was lame. I went to it, and the Canadians really, the Canadians really showed that they have more balls than us after the one I went to.
Oh
So.
hell yeah, they do. I agree with that. We should be doing the same thing. We do convoys out here. We're on an island.
Oh, okay.
Gene
Rock on.
Gene thought that was the funniest thing ever, but no, we've done freedom convoys out here. We've done convoys for some local Hawaiian activism, and we bring the 9/11 Truth with us. So yeah, we don't engage them and go, hey, and approach them like a car salesman or something. Hey, did you hear about Building 7? No, we just let them come to us, and in these interactions or movements, or we have potlucks, there's this market places, everything. They come to us and we start engaging and talking about it just by the shirts alone, and it's a passive aggressive way of doing that, I guess. But we do marches, we do convoys, we were at the DOE the other day. Our children are still masked.
Yeah.
Really?
In schools all day long, where
our officials even have the children go and sing to them, and they're stuffing their faces, eating their food, and they have the children in masks singing to them. It's disgusting. And everybody else is unmasked. So we get involved with all these things, you know, but we show up as 911 Truth. Our kids have 911 Truth shirts, you know? So yeah, letting them engage you. If you have something on you or around you that is showing, hey, I can go talk to this guy or this lady, like my wife, or even the children, and talk about it. It's just been
I think
an
that's
awesome
a logic.
experience.
That's a logical progression for people. Some people like signing a petition is the most passive. I don't have to go out. I don't have to talk to anybody. You know, it's just my quick way to take care of it. Then people start thinking, okay, I could wear a shirt. But people like, we're talking the newbies. They're even scared to wear a shirt. Like, oh man, what are people gonna think? I remember those days. And then, you know, then you're holding a sign, and then you're holding a sign in public, and you're like, oh, okay, what if somebody comes up and wants to talk to me? I'm not ready for that. And that's what you're saying there. That at a certain point, you're wearing something in public, and you're standing there, people will approach you instead of having to walk. The first time I went to 9/11 Ground Zero, Sandra Hicks came up to me, handed me a bunch of petitions, empty petitions, says, here, go get people to sign these. And you're like, as a first time going down there, being in public, you're like mortified, like, oh my gosh, going up to people. It's kind of ridiculous that we're so afraid to go and demand an investigation. But you know,
I have trouble. I'm so live and let live that I have trouble asking someone to do something like sign a petition. That's my blockage. It's like, here, I want you to do this. I don't, you know, I just want you, here's the information and do what you feel is right, is more like my approach, you know?
I took an iPad on a Steelers Sunday. Steelers, you guys all know about the Steelers. Our tailgates are amazing. It goes on all through the whole city. And I took my iPad and I just wanted people to look at Building 7. And I think after 5 people just shut me down hard, it was like, oh, it's just like so defeating. Like,
yeah, but you know, but then they have to have a good time.
I know.
It's all Sunday.
After I talked to Bill Jacoby, he's like, yeah, you don't want to do that at something like that.
No, that's a downer for them.
It is, right? They're there to drink beer.
You should go to funerals.
Jeez.
Mike, can I ask Mike a question?
Go ahead.
Mike, are you still doing the convoys? Because I think some of them are still going on.
Well, I'm not. I live within 75 miles of DC. I actually used to live in Arlington, right by the Pentagon, but that's a different story. But there's another. I heard that they're going to come again to DC. I've been keeping track of them on the Facebook page. So when they come, I'm gonna. You know, I'm really gonna like blast it this time. Like I might even like stay in the campground that they stay at, just so I hope that I can engage people, you know?
Do you put, you know how Gene has like stickers all over his car, his truck? Do you have info like that when you do these things? Because we're building a flag, you know, but we don't have the stickers on our car yet.
He did what I did when I began, was to put the chalk. You can buy those chalk markers.
Yeah.
Those things are great. That's how I first started.
My handwriting is really good, as you can see. So
no, that works. Heck yeah, it works, man.
The message
another little factoid I just learned yesterday, which kind of pissed me off. There was one firefighter that didn't get counted, so it was actually 344 firefighters.
Interesting.
And why did he not get counted?
He didn't get counted because he was actually a member of the New York Fire Patrol, NYFP. The NYFP ran basically to protect property. So like, you know how when the FDNY goes into like a burning building, they like break windows, like cut holes in roof to get, you know, the smoke out and, you know, that type of shit. Well, what the fire patrol would be doing is after they would also fight the fire, but after the fire, they would actually, you know, cover the roof with like a tarp to make sure no additional property damages and board up the windows and kind of just prevent people that are already going through a hard time making it worse. Well, there was a guy named Keith Roma, and I actually learned of him because one of the guys that Rudy Dent used to work with is my Facebook friend. And he was telling me about this story, how Keith Roma never got counted because he was on the fire patrol, and he was the only member of the fire patrol to die on 9/11. And he's documented with making 4 trips up and down the North Tower, getting people out before, he got killed. So I thought that was actually an act of injustice, because even though he wasn't a member of the fire department, he still definitely that day, proved himself or whatever, and I think he should have been counted.
Nice.
I can send you the article if you want.
Sure.
Okay.
Sean, and then Alfred. He's making his way to the mic. The unmute button. He's finding it. There it is. Clicking it. And
Sean?
Nagel.
Maybe he doesn't know you're speaking to him. Sean.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure. I just wonder if anyone knows about NIST being involved in the elections and an angle we could use on that is the whole stolen election thing. Maybe, I know there's a lot of Trump supporters. So does anybody know that NIST is involved in the elections?
I did not know this. I'll look it up, though. That's interesting.
How was NIST involved in the elections?
Yeah.
He turned his mic off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
wow.
did you
Check
do that?
this stuff out. That's on their site. That's so crazy.
Stop
NIST,
it.
Information technology, voting. Wait, that's 2002.
Well, no. They're just referring to an act of 2002.
Oh, okay. Key role in helping nationwide improvements in voting systems. Oh, that's fucking priceless.
Yeah, really.
To assist
Wow.
commissions to a voluntary voting system. Oh my gosh. There goes. Voting's gonna free fall. Anyways, okay. Thank you for that. Sean did not know that. Interesting fact.
Hmm.
Makes you cringe.
Mhm.
Al, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak out on the Boston 9/11 Truth philosophy of keeping your politics out of at the door. And I'm all for going out wherever you can to get the message out, but I also am very strongly believe that you might alienate your own membership, which we have managed to do by restricting our message just to 9/11. And, as an example, 2 of our members used to make monthly donations to TAP, and they backed off because they didn't want their money being spent on other things that TAP was doing, and wanted their money to go strictly to 9/11 Truth.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of what I hear here is, geared towards a lot of messaging to, I won't call them right-wing groups, but, they're not, on the left and of the political spectrum. And for that reason, the anti-war movement, which is primarily left-wing people, or that used to be, not anymore with the Ukraine war, and they've now become the right. But I just have a problem with keeping the message strictly for 9/11 Truth and not endorsing other political movements. I just think it's the wrong way to go.
Well,
And
you don't have to do it actively, but I mean, every situation is different, right? And you don't have to actively seek out a COVID protest, let's say, just to show up with your 9/11 stuff.
yeah, I get that.
But you can draw parallels, and you can,
Yeah. But I also feel like, you know, you got to keep in mind that there's another big audience out there of anti-war people or the left that we have never gotten anywhere with. And for the reasons that we don't, you know, most of our membership were libertarians and people that were, you know, identified with the right wing. So I just, you know, throw that at you because I think it's something you need to be thinking about. Anyway, enough said, I guess that's just what I want.
Al's,
But
I just want to
everybody
make a
can
point.
choose their way.
Yeah, that's true. But Al makes a good point, and that's the whole purpose, I think, of a Venn diagram, even this simple one here. You have 9/11 truth advocates, and you have right wingers or left wingers. I guess maybe not. Maybe it would be more like this. You have left wingers, right wingers, and 9/11 truth advocates, and they kind of, you know, will circle over. But as soon as you start talking about one thing, you're going to alienate. He's right. I mean, it's for anything, anything you talk about. If you're into Greenpeace, and then all of a sudden you start talking about 9/11 stuff, all of your
Right.
Greenpeace friends are gonna like, wait a second, I don't know about this brother anymore. Like, he makes a good point, but it's like you had just said there, to each their own. Whatever you go where your heart feels. There's a reason why the Boston 9/11 Truth movement is still existing after all these years. So they're stayed
Sheer
true to their
dedication.
cause. And
Yeah.
Well, we just don't want to cross message.
yeah, understood.
Of course, we've got members from the right, left, and middle.
Yep.
And you know, and anarchists and people who don't designate themselves as anything whatsoever. But you know, our conversation, we're strictly on 9/11. Of course, as individuals, we can go out to our other groups, anti-COVID, or you know, a Second Amendment, or you know, January 6th, you know, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
And bring 9/11 truth to those groups. But don't bring those groups into our group.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I just say about the beauty of the 9/11 truth movement is it's really left and right. There's people from all spectra inside of this, and that's what makes it such a unifying cause in that sense, I find.
That's their modus operandi, I guess is how you could say it. I don't know. Richard has chose to embrace, and that's working out for him. I don't know what Tap's doing. But to each his own. You go where your heart goes and do it the best you can. And yeah.
I did want to mention one thing. When we were talking about T-shirts and petitions, I have to say the most effective T-shirt I ever wore, it looked like it had the colors and the font of 7-Eleven, but it said
right.
Building 7, Google 9/11. It was really awesome.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, people really came up to me on that one.
Where can I get that?
I don't know where you can get it. I got it years ago on Cafe Press, but that was like 10, 11 years ago.
But if you can find the logo, you can get any T-shirt printed.
Yeah, it really got attention. And the other thing about petitions, I understand, Sandra, every time I went out with petitions, people would cross the street to get away from me. But when we had in 2012, the ballot initiative headed by Mike Gravel, and we actually had our petition papers with the insignia of the Secretary of State in Massachusetts. All of a sudden, people were crossing the street to come talk to me because it had something official on it, the petition.
Well,
you know, and they were whispering in my ear, I always knew something was wrong. You know, so it's very interesting when you have something very official looking.
Yeah.
for them to sign. There's a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
Cayle and then Myles. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say for Boston 911 Truth, that's awesome. You guys are having Richard on there because he's a 911 advocate that pretty much everyone in this whole movement knows, and he's branched off like never before with other groups and other issues, and it's awesome to see you guys kind of supporting that. But I Susan, did you get the message thing?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay, good. All right, awesome. Also, the 9/11 Truth movement, you know, when I first started waking up, it is anti-war, the core of it, because when it comes down to it, we're trying to end these illegal wars and occupations that are derived from one huge lie. And this false flag is a formula that is been played out pretty much through all our wars and revolutions and civil wars, how they pull all this off to get us to go to war. So whether it's left or right, we're bipartisan. We don't choose either side. We know it's fully corrupt and gone tyrannical. What our founding fathers warned us about and what we need to do, what our directives are, if our government is to go tyrannical, which it has. Pretty much all governments throughout the world have gone tyrannical, you know. So, but anti-war, 9/11 Truth is the core, gets down to trying to stop these wars as well. So it all comes together, you know.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Myles, you're up.
Yeah, well, and I want to celebrate, you know, great Americans such as yourselves and people like American sociologist Sheldon Woolen, who said passivity, being passive, will be the downfall of civilization. So one of the things I appreciate is that you're really showing the journey or the process is more important than the destination. So you're giving an example of pursuing truth and providing a lot of information on how that journey can be undertaken, you know, with lawyers committees and specialists and firefighters and engineers and pilots, and bringing all these people together. And we may never actually get to who done it, but what we are doing is auditing, you know. And it's so if somebody says, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, no, I'm auditing. There's real, we should, it's just part of any safety program. You have to audit your safety management system.
Yep.
And civilians are supposed to be in charge of free nations. And then, as I said, NATO requirement for membership is civilian oversight of their military. And we have to audit that because, you know, there's just ridiculous billions being spent like right now, you know, and I'll be the first to say that Russia is an imperialist nation, but there's a great American named Michael Hudson, an economist. I don't know if you know him, but he's just written a book recently called Super Imperialism. And I'm not saying it, Michael Hudson, one of your fellow Americans, describes the US as super imperialist. So what's going on in the Ukraine is not a Russia-Ukraine war. It really is actually a NATO-Russia war. And there's billions being just shoved over to what is a civil war, you know, initially. So anyway, I just want to congratulate you. And I'll just conclude by saying, Carl Jung, here's a quote. He says, the psychologist, pioneering psychologist, he says, there's your perception of reality and there's my perception of reality, and we are both wrong. So in other words, the truth and what is reality is maybe never going to be established. But if truth is love, it's the journey, it's not the destination.
Thank you. And Susan, I know I've seen that shirt too before I go to Ray. I've seen that shirt. I can't find it, but I found this one's kind of funny. 7-Eleven was a part-time job. Anyway. Ray, you're up. And then I want to wind this down. We're going on 2 hours and I'm going to get.
Yeah, and I have a couple of things to add, so.
Yep. Go ahead, Ray.
You mentioned they get away with words, and this is I made a screenshot, but this is the 9/11 NIST report, and you see this word, it's called probable. It's fascinating. You have to really look at words and how words are used in official reports, because it says a lot.
That's their way out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the fine print on a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the this is where they begin their report. It's the first page you read.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That's how they get away with it. Good point.
So
Thank
we
you.
have to be critical of their own words.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying, and that's what I tried to say this evening. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yes.
it. Thank you. Gonna go around the room. I'll end with you, Sandra, since you have some things to share.
When I remove the screen share?
Oh, whoops. Yep. So Al, you got anything for the group for the week?
Yeah, donations.
Good point.
Our donation button is indeed working.
Yeah.
And Sandra, I'll go to you, or not Sandra, Susan, I'll go to you next.
I've been doing mundane stuff like accounting for lawyers committee and stuff, so nothing very exciting.
Right on. Myles, back to you. Anything for the group for the week?
No, just my admiration for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Cayle, what do you got, brother?
Yeah. A question for Susan. Who was it that wanted that shirt?
Oh, I had the shirt.
Oh,
It finally got just too terribly stained, and I had to retire it.
Can you take a picture of it?
do you want another one? Because
yeah,
we can make one for you.
Yeah, we could
Okay.
recreate it. That'd be awesome.
it had the colors and the font exactly of the 7-Eleven stores.
Do you have a picture of yourself wearing it?
Somewhere, someplace in my thousands of pictures.
Send find 9/11 Truth Hawaii. Just message us.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Who else I got left? Ray, anything for the group?
No.
Mike Zarzano, anything for the group? Thank you for being here, brother.
No, sir. Thanks anyways, though.
Thank you.
Good listening.
Thank you. And Sean Nagel, anything for the group, brother?
I'd just like to plug some Rumble in there. I know everyone's favorite is YouTube, but Rumble's got some stuff that YouTube don't have.
Good point. Thank you. Yeah. And last but not least, Sandra, what do you got for us?
First, I just wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to Susan and everybody else, anybody else who's watching, listening, whatever.
Are you assuming our genders? We could be pregnant. We could
That's
have had-
true. I'm sorry about that. If you feel the need to be included, then consider yourself included.
All right, thanks.
I wanted small suggestion to Cayle, if he's listening.
Yes, sorry.
Once your kids get older enough, maybe they can start forming a Youth for 9/11 Truth group.
That would be very interesting. They're getting there. I mean, I give them little bits here and there on how it all is working.
I'm just saying we keep saying we need the younger ones, we need the young generation. So maybe there's an idea in that to have a Youth for 9/11 Truth group.
You know what? We could make up little 9/11 Truth papers, because kids are always looking the internet to like plagiarize papers for their high school science projects,
Right.
and history class. Man, we could make up a whole bunch of little, like, high
Yeah.
school level papers.
Oh, we could totally do that. I think we could, you know, if we could build something on that, I think they're open to it. I think they could run with this. We need them anyway. We need them badly because we're all old. So
Good point.
It's all about our next generation.
it is, and it is
For
about
sure.
them, right?
Mm.
I also wanted, actually, I just gonna, can I screen share this? I just wanted to quick, if, for those who had not seen it, this was the meme that somehow
yeah.
got a lot of legs.
I love that one.
Somehow.
Yeah.
That's attention.
So, and wait, there was another one that I made that was this, and I actually stole it off, I think a Sandy Hook false flag bingo, but I turned it into a 9/11 one. And, you know, this is just me starting off with like the most extreme basics that you can do in some version of Photoshop.
I don't think we're seeing the
And-
next one. We're still seeing, what's her name?
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so weird. How come?
because you shared that specific picture.
Unshare.
Unshare and reshare.
Really?
What's
Oh,
that?
you share. Look at
What-
that.
Because you didn't share the screen, you shared the
Oh, stop share.
file.
Okay. And it was this one.
Yeah, the bingo, that rocked. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I have enough material to make a second bingo card, so I'm gonna be
This
doing
type of
that.
meme works because people feel like, oh, I want to complete the puzzle or I want to do the thing. So it pulls them into to make them read. I think it's good. Somebody wants to see, can I connect 5 in a row? And then they start reading the thing and it draws them in. It's a good idea. It's a great meme.
Yeah. Well, all this to say that humor works, apparently. So whenever you can run with humor and anything that highlights, you know, the ridiculousness of the official story is always a good way to draw people in. If you can make them laugh, you did something good. And yeah, and piquing their curiosity. Everybody loves a quiz. That's why I made the 9/11 quiz, the 10 basic questions. It has some humor in it also. And you know, everybody thinks they always know all the answers, and everybody likes a quiz. So
Sandra, are you
things-
going to have Sandra, are you going to have a board game ready for Christmas?
that could
Why not?
be. Yeah, well,
Great way to learn it.
Hey,
Play
I
with
can
cards, move
make
your
the
men around the
pieces.
board.
We
can
were
make
looking at making a Trivial Pursuit 9/11
right.
and for the lawyers committee for a fundraiser, and Jane Clark told me go ahead. And I'm thinking, all right, how to assemble 3,000 questions at varying degrees in different categories. That
Are you
becomes
crazy? We couldn't even come up with like 40 for the thing that we wanted to do, remember?
I know, yeah. But
Yeah.
more
And
ideas.
anyways, the last thing I wanted to say is next Saturday, for anybody who's interested specifically in the Pentagon,
yeah.
we're going to be having, we're having monthly calls, WarRoom calls, around the mid-Saturday of every month. So we tried to take the Pentagon discussion out of the Sunday call, because not everybody wanted to participate in the technicalities and the and the ruthlessness of it. But if you want to bring your boxing gloves and show up on next Saturday at the same time, then you're welcome to be there.
Thank you. That would be Saturday, the 14th.
May 14th.
At 5 p.m. Last call we actually had Adam Fitzgerald and Nelson Martins on with Craig McKee, and they were all
Xander.
civil. They were and
Xander too,
Sandra.
right?
They were all civil with each other. I thought, man, that was amazing. Like they didn't go after each other, not one put down. And unfortunately, we couldn't get Hoeniger or David Chandler there last time. They were all, actually Chandler still wouldn't be available because he's camping till June. That's one hell of a camping trip. Jeez, several months long. But yeah, hopefully, you know, I don't have anything really to say, even though I did talk a lot. Just trying to direct. I just want to hear them go at it. And it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
dismantle each other's arguments, right?
Al, you have a follow-up for us?
Yeah, I just was wondering if anybody had heard any news on the lawyers committee and how the courts were doing.
Nope. I reached out to an email with Mick over something, and he did not mention anything.
It's a waiting game with the lawyers committee right
Yeah.
now, right?
Oh, I had sent an email to Motley Rice or Kreindler and Motley Rice, and they gave me some crap back. Just real quick, and we'll end with that from Mick Harrison. There it is. Let me share my screen. So I sent a bunch of letters to like Kreindler and Motley Rice and all these. And the response was, thank you for contacting Motley Rice. You contacted our office regarding the 9/11 terrorist attacks. We're no longer accepting additional cases stemming from the terrorist attacks on 9/11. And we regret we're unable to assist you with the matter. No reflection of the merits of the claim, blah, 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 blah. And then they give me this, please be aware of the statute of limitations running on any potential case. And the statute of limitations, we know what Al's favorite saying is on the statute of limitations with 9/11, that there is no statute of limitations on murder. So I don't know why she sent me this, so I sent it on to Mick, and Mick wrote back, I can't speak for Motley, but their response looks like it's just a form type letter type of a reply. They have asked their intake staff to send out on any inquiry regarding 9/11 without taking time to study the inquiry to determine blah, blah, blah. So I think it was just a cover letter they sent back. So it really didn't. It's kind of odd. They're definitely pursuing with the Saudi case. There's a lot of stuff moving there with that. We saw in the news, and hopefully they'll continue, and we'll see it follow through with other countries' intelligence agencies that were behind it. But yeah, I don't know if I had anything else to say about that. Thank you all for being here again. Love you all. Happy Mother's Day, and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
week.
Bye
Hey,
bye.
guys. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Guys and gals.